In the heart of a burning desert, a salt kingdom rose from the impossible. A desert empire built not on gold or silver, but on white gold, salt. Out here, survival shaped power, and the earth itself minted value. Salt meant life. It preserved food, sustained caravans, fed armies, and stabilized a fragile economy. In this world, a handful of crystals could decide a winter, a campaign, a dynasty. A forgotten tribe mastered a single resource and rewrote its destiny. Markets multiplied, caravanserai bloomed along desert trade routes, and a salt market became the beating heart of an empire. Across endless horizons, camel caravans marched, iron-banded blocks of salt flashing like treasure. Each step stitched together oases, cities, and coastlines, turning salt roads into the lifelines of desert trade. Salt became currency, ration, wage, and tribute. Ledgers filled with trades, salt for grain, oil, and steel. Some soldiers were paid in salt because this resource could feed a family and fuel a war. Deep in the salt mines, men carved wealth from the earth, grain by grain, strike by strike. Picks rang, oil lamps flickered, and sleds scraped as white walls glittered like crystal cathedrals. With its salt, the kingdom built armies, raised monuments, filled cisterns, and controlled the arteries of the desert. Authority marched in step with logistics, and logistics began with salt. Prosperity drew shadows. Rival rulers studied maps, raiders watched from ridgelines, alliances shifted like dunes. The richer the salt kingdom grew, the louder envy whispered at its borders. The salt roads turned dangerous. Caravans met ambush in dust and glare, loads cut loose, arrows thudding into salt, handlers diving for cover. No gore, only chaos, trade shattered by fear. At court, greed answered danger with pressure. Taxes rose, ledgers tightened, and mine foremen were ordered deeper. Short-term gains masked a long-term crisis, the risk of a single resource economy. The land pushed back. Canals ran dry, crops failed, and villages emptied. Families abandoned fields for the mines, stripping labor from farms and feeding a cycle the kingdom could not sustain. Markets cracked under violence. Stalls toppled, scales lay broken, and spilled dye stained white salt red. Confidence evaporated, and with it, the fragile trust that kept trade routes open. Then the map changed. New sea routes opened, coastal salt pans boomed, and prices fell. What once was rare, salt, flooded the world, and the desert empire's treasure lost its value. The caravans thinned, the mines fell quiet. Palaces still towered over the salt flats, but inside, they echoed with dust and the memory of a vanished prosperity. Enemies moved as markets collapsed. Garrisons faltered, walls were tested, and discipline unraveled. Without the wealth of white gold, even proud armies learned how quickly power breaks. Nature closed the account. Mines flooded. Roads disappeared under sand. What the kingdom had carved from the desert calmly took back. The throne stood empty. Soldiers deserted. Ledgers stopped mid-sum. A mighty salt kingdom, an empire of white gold, faded from the map. Today, only ruins speak. White salt stains on stone, a rusted pick, a sled half buried. Tools were dropped and never lifted again, a story scattered by wind. Historians call it the resource curse. When power rests on a single resource, collapse is only time and pressure. Diversify, or become a cautionary tale. This was the rise and the fall of a kingdom built on salt. From white gold to dust, from lifeline to liability, the arc of empire traced in crystals and wind. Imagine a world where salt outweighed gold, where survival, food security, and trade ran on crystals. That world built an empire. Its lesson still matters. If this true history micro-documentary made you rethink how fragile empires are, subscribe to Microdocs for more untold stories.